and welcome. India gets ready for a summer of tests and T20s as well as ODIs in English conditions. While one team has its eye on the T20 World Cup, the other is focused on winning a test series on English soil. I'm joined by former Indian batter Sanjay Manjrekar at this hour to look ahead to India's twin tours in England. Thanks Sanjay for joining me. First, let's talk about the T20s. Hardik Pandya is leading the team for the first time. What is your assessment of Pandya, the captain, and do you think that we will see more of him leading India's limited overs side now?
I was actually amazed, by the eventual sort of performance of Hardik Pandya, the captain to start with, and Hardik Pandya, the all-rounder, because before the IPL, if you remember the couple of years that he had, even with Mumbai Indians, there was the fitness issue. He wasn't bowling at all for Mumbai Indians. His batting was a bit scratchy, hardly played any international cricket. So it was a huge gamble from Gujarat Titans to have him as one of their, marquee players, plus gave him the captaincy with no track record as captain. But boy, that gamble paid off massively. So, sometimes the same tactics can go wrong. Whatever you do works in one season, next season it will all go wrong. So, you don't know whether the tactics will work every time. That happens with all captains in a T20 format. But the fact that he looked like he was enjoying captaincy, he was so happy, relaxed. We saw Mayank Agarwal being a little too intense. So I guess that is one real positive, that this is a guy in a high pressure, league, because IPL is massive pressure, high stakes. This guy was so relaxed as captain, even in the crunch moments.
Sanjay, what about Hardik the player? Do you think looking at him now, he's back in full fitness and ready to, go the distance also when it comes to his bowling?
I think that question mark will always remain about his bowling. I think in the last game for India, he didn't bowl at all. They bowled him a little in the early part of the series against South Africa. So the bowling aspect of Hardik Pandya is always going to be a bit of a question mark, and overall fitness as well, because that is the kind of history that he had. But when he's in full flow like he was in the IPL, you can see how much talent is packed into this guy. As a batter, and then when he bowls his 4 overs, and if there is a lot of strength in his 4 overs, you can see that, the bowling also measures up, because he's got a way of, assessing the pitch and the batter as well. So when he's in full fitness, he is good enough to be the best bowler in the side as well. So just imagine somebody, if fully fit is your go-to bowler, while the others are going to the cleaners. He showed, on occasion that he was able to, curb the runs, get to the wickets as well, plus the kind of batting talent that he has. So then when you have the whole package, then you're sort of staggered by how much value this guy can add.
Interesting, and we'll all look forward to Hardik Pandya in full flow in England. Talking about his good friend KL Rahul, injuries seem to have become a part and parcel of his life. But Sanjay, do you think injuries are happening to him at wrong times, wrong moments? He was key to India's performances in England last summer.
Yes, Ireland is not such a big issue, but England. India will miss KL Rahul in England because the last, the early bit of the series that was played in August, September, was it August? Yeah, August, September 21. If you saw India doing well in that series and having the scoreline 2-1 after 4 test matches, the reason was KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma. The openers were the main reason why India was able to do well against England. India had some batting issues in the middle, but Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul were the saviors. Rahul getting 100 at Lords as well. So him not being there for India in the test, that one test match, is a huge setback, because this is a guy that India was relying heavily on. Even in South Africa, he managed to get 100 at the top of the order. So yes, KL Rahul not being available is horrible timing, especially because before this test match, because the series hinges on that last test match.
Sanjay, I'll have to ask you about India's chances when it comes to this test match against England. If they win this, they would have won the series. Now, last time around when they played England, it seemed that the home team meekly surrendered to India. But right now, under the leadership of Ben Stokes, they seem to have found a different energy. How much would you say are India's chances of winning against them right now?
England is a better side now, and it's something Rahul Dravid also has alluded to. I think it's a better side than the one that India played last time round in the early bit of the series. There are three reasons for that. One is Ollie Pope is getting into his own. Joe Root is in the form of his life. Ben Stokes says that series against India, when he had a quiet series, didn't quite really set the stage on fire. He's got 300s since then. That is a difference. And Ben Stokes is back. Right. And Ben Stokes has this very unique ability to make the contribution when it's a crunch moment. He's not somebody who will get you runs every test match or get wickets every innings. But come the big game like the last test against New Zealand when he got a 75 not out to win the game, that's where Ben Stokes comes into his own. So that little difference that a player makes in a team winning or losing, Ben Stokes is always right in the middle of that particular moment. So from that standpoint, India will know that they've got a slightly more strong England outfit this time in this one test.
Sanjay, let me ask you, you mentioned about Ben Stokes. Like Ben Stokes, who can be the X factor from Indian side?
Rishabh Pant.
Okay.
I know Rohit Sharma is there at the top. There's Virat Kohli, great batters. Pujara's defiance is all there. There's some, good bowling. Shami and Bumrah, they'll be all, game changers with the ball. But in his very short career, test career, Rishabh Pant has played 3 great test innings and in different conditions, different oppositions against the tide. Like Ben Stokes, if you've got to look at one player from India, he almost won India game in South Africa as well with that 100 that he got recently in South Africa. So Pant is the man. England have got Ben Stokes, India have got Rishabh Pant.
It's an interesting assessment of the one who is going to be the X factor. Yes, he did score a 50 in the tour game, but Sanjay, he has been lackluster when it comes to his T20 form. He's not really he's not really set the stage on fire in the IPL. How confident are you of his red ball form being different from his white ball form?
Yes, because the formats are different. And so far we've seen that Rishabh Pant has been a formidable test player. While he's been putting together all these exceptional performances at the test level, his white ball batting has not been quite up there. So there's a disconnection almost between his performance in white ball cricket versus red ball cricket. So this is a guy who has a completely different, impact that he makes in test cricket, goes about things very differently. He's not pushed to start hitting straight away. So there'll be occasions when he'll be playing out 20 dot ball and then hit 3 sixes depending on the condition, the bowler at the opposite end. So Rishabh Pant, I think the test format allows Rishabh Pant to be a little more imaginative, allows him to be not pushed. He can take his time and decide when he wants to hit and which is the moment to do it. So for the moment, it seems like the test format provides Pant the kind of setting that he seems to enjoy. So whatever happens in the white ball format, I don't see that having any bearing at all on his performances at the test level. We've seen that in the last 2-3 years.
Now, Sanjay, let's talk a little bit about the bowling group. Who from the Indian bowling group are you really excited to watch bowl in the English conditions?
All of them. That is India's great strength. We've seen Bumrah do well. On the last day, Mohammad Shami is always there. Wickets aren't falling, he'll get you two and change the tide of the game. Umesh Yadav got 6 wickets in the one test match that he played in England, so he's another option. The Shardul Thakur seems like somebody who breaks partnerships, makes contributions with the bat as well. Very excited with Prasidh Krishna. He seems to be the perfect kind of replacement for Ishant Sharma. I'm not sure whether he'll get a game, but India have their stocks, pretty well loaded. There's also Mohammad Siraj. So yes, a lot of options to pick from. In fact, that's going to be a headache for Dravid and Rohit to pick the 3 or 4 seam bowlers for that test match.
It is a happy headache to have for Rahul Dravid and his captain Rohit Sharma. Now coming back to the T20 series against Ireland, which of course is led by Hardik Pandya, how ideal do you think this series is to prepare for the T20 World Cup?
I like the fact that the team management in that last series against South Africa in the 5 matches didn't change the playing 11. I thought that was a very unique way of using a series like this in preparation for the T20 World Cup. So the players that played in that team, in that playing 11, were guys that they had a very good look at. I'm hoping that in Ireland, there's just a couple of games there that they rest the guys that they're pretty certain who are, bound to make it into the T20 World Cup squad, and maybe play guys who they would want to have a look at to see what kind of options that they have. So from that standpoint, I think the Ireland series is important to try out the new options that they have at their disposal. The other thing is Ireland is foreign conditions. All these players in the T20 format that we got in the squad and the performances that we are talking about has been in the subcontinent. The Indian Premier League played on Indian pitches, India, South Africa on Indian pitches. So, let's see how these guys, adjust to the conditions in Ireland. So that could be an interesting thing to look at, because the T20 World Cup is not going to be in India, although English and Irish conditions are different from Australia. It's just foreign conditions. So that also will be interesting to look at. I think the coach and captain will get an idea as to which are the players who are able to make that adjustment to foreign conditions.
Sanjay, you spoke about the IPL. One of the biggest stories of the IPL summer has been Dinesh Karthik's return to form. Do you see him on the flight to Melbourne for the World Cup?
I think there is a good chance that will happen because of, again, he improving his worth in that series against South Africa, especially in the last game, not the one that didn't have a result, where he was the player of the match, scored at a strike of 200. So yes, he is an extremely tempting option. There'll be a few, matches before the T20 World Cup. So I guess he'll have to keep reminding the selector that he's still relevant. But it's just amazing that this guy at this stage of his career has carved a niche for himself. I tweeted also about him where he's one of those rare players, in fact, one of the first players in the world in T20 cricket who actually is a specialist kind of cameo batter down the order. He is not somebody who will bat at number 3 or 4. He'll generally bat at number 5, 6, 7. Right. And he'll get a few overs, 15, 20 balls, a few balls, 15, 20 balls to make a contribution, make an impact. Now, when you have somebody batting at that position and just getting those many balls, like a Pollard does, or, somebody like a Hardik Pandya when he's to bat lower down, those guys are always, they have another string to their bow. They are either wicket keepers or they are all-rounders who bowl a bit. So Dinesh Karthik actually commanded a place in this team for his cameo batting, and that Pant was keeping wickets and Dinesh Karthik was only there as a batter. Just tells you, the kind of worth that he's adding, which has been amazing.
Sanjay, thank you very much for those insights. I'll watch out for the one you've picked as the X factor for the series between India and England. And you can watch the India versus Ireland T20 series on Sony 6 at 9 p.m.